Well, hello and welcome to Growing Deeper Daily with Gateway Church. I'm Pastor Michael, looking forward once again to getting in God's Word together with you. Today, over the next several weeks, we're going to be looking in the Proverbs together. We're going to be talking in general themes and as well in some of the practical little nuggets of wisdom that are offered to us. Remember, the book of Proverbs, it's all about skill in the art of godly living. How do we live in this world skillfully with great practical advantage, but yet in a way that's artistically beautiful? In other words, the world that we live in, it is not just a simple in-out, black and white answer to how to work and act and live. That we need an artful mind, and a desire to live skillfully and beautifully, addressing the challenges of our day. Yesterday, we talked about what Proverbs gives us, the benefits. We said that there are practical, moral, educational, intellectual, and even curious benefits that come from wisdom. And today, then, in verse 7, we see really the framework or the foundation upon which all godly wisdom is built, all Christian wisdom is built. In other words, you could seek wisdom from this world and be a practical person, an intellectual, even have some sense of morality. But what makes it distinctively Christian, distinctively God-centered, is found in verse 7. And here it is. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. The fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of knowledge. True wisdom. We see here this comparison, and we're going to see a lot of that in the book of Proverbs. It's a poetic device used by comparison to show the extremes. It says that the fool despises wisdom and instruction. The fool doesn't want to live in a way that is moral and intellectual and curious and practical and educational in this world. The fool wants their own stuff to get taken care of. Have you ever met someone who's foolish like this? Someone who's only concerned with themselves, someone who lives in an overly simplistic, black and white way. The scriptures here in Proverbs talk about this person in various ways. He's a simpleton. He's a mocker. He's a fool. It's the person who does not live in light of the wisdom that comes from God. They despise it. In fact, this word despise, it's a pretty intense way of saying they don't even want to hear what it means to live a life of obedience and wisdom before God. They actually despise what is good. Have you ever met someone like this? They despise wise instruction. You may challenge them in the truth of God, and they don't even want to hear it. It's a dangerous place to be. All of us in our own life need to guard against that temptation, to not want to hear the truth of God when He wants to reveal it in our life. It says here, however, the fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of knowledge. This is what sets it apart as distinctively God-centered, as distinctively Christian for us, as we see the fulfillment of this ultimately in the person and the hope that comes in Jesus. It's the fear of the Lord. We've talked about it many times over the last several years. The fear of the Lord, it's not running from God because of His anger. It's the submission to God because of His place in His position of authority. It's reverence. It's saying, God, I submit to you. Lord, I am in awe of you. God, I am in reverence of who you are. We need to start our day reminding ourselves of our position in God's, that the Lord invites us to humble, reverential awe, that we are underneath His authority, that we should desire to obey Him. It's not fear that tells us we need to appease Him so He doesn't crush us. That's not the idea. It's a desire to live in fear of Him because, God, it's about you. It's not about me. I mean, how easy do I get so tempted to think about my own desires, my own pursuits, my own challenges, my own issues, those that I'm dealing with in my family or in my community or in our church, things that become so really self-centered. God calls us to live a life in awe of Him, in fear of Him. God, I don't want just my own self-centered goals achieved. Lord, I want your will to be done. God, I want to obey you. So I want to encourage you as we're beginning our study in the Proverbs, desire instruction, desire education, desire morality and the practical advice, but in the purpose or for the purpose of living in the fear of God, in the awe of God. What if we woke up each day and said, Lord, I live today in reverence and in awe of you. Lord, I live today in obedience to you. This is our invitation. Join me. I'll see you tomorrow.